Last class we discussed on regional approach, areal differentiation. We talked about quantitative revolution ka some discussions which you can relate with areal differentiation. Ye largely hamara focus tha. Then about behavioral geography, you must remember 4 or 5 things. Okay, behavioral geography. Know that it's a type of cognitive elements in geographical analysis. This is still about generalizations and laws making. Okay. It talks about geography as the science of studying a human decision making. ये एक important point है. In quantitative revolution, geography was defined as the science of studying patterns of events. That's why we call this as the science of spatial analysis. Okay, QR is the science of studying patterns of phenomena and events. Behavioral geography says, no, we will not study the patterns, we will study the reasons of the patterns, and the reasons are in human decision making. जो patterns बनते हैं, the patterns are because of how man decides to do what he wants to do. And the decision of human beings, it has a cognitive element, thinking element. Okay, so cognition plus the role of perception plus the role of expectations. So this is what decides the patterns. So behavioral geography, okay, is a study of a human decision making. And you must know what are the tools. आप दो main tool याद रखें. One is the mental maps, and the second tool is the behavioral matrix, and a third is there are statistical tools called as the probability methods. We call these tools as, or these methods as, stochastic methods. Stochastic ka matlab hi hota hai probability based. Yes, that's exactly the idea. Okay, I am trying to summarize the topic ताकि आपका revision भी मेरे साथ हो जाए. Okay, so I'm not teaching behavioral as such. Okay, so we are talking about what is behavioral. Key elements kya hai? It has the cognitive elements in geographical analysis. It is about making laws and generalizations. It is about geography as a science of human decision making. The tools of mental maps. इस पे सवाल पूछा हुआ है. I presume you know this. You don't have to bother about this one. Just know कि we have some tools based on probability. Very important work here was done by David Harvey, the same man who ultimately becomes a radical geographer. David Harvey has done his work. A mental map was done by Gould. It was done by Bolding, and behavioral matrix was by Alan Pred. Now this can be one question, so I'll discuss this concept in brief. What is behavioral matrix? Okay? That's about behavioral geography. Achha, I presume you know these concepts. You know the contributions of Walpert, the contributions of Herbert Simon, and the concept of satisficers, the concept of bounded rationality, that we are rational but within our limits. Our rationality is not perfect. Our rationality is not infinite. Okay, we have limits in how much we can process. So bounded rationality is about the limits of human analysis. So we are objective, but within our limits. So these two concepts given by Herbert Simon, and Walpert is the man who introduces behavioral geography into geography. So let me discuss, if you have a question on behavioral matrix. What is a behavioral matrix? So you can keep writing as I speak. Essentially, it is a tool of analysis for decision making. This tool can map decisions people take or people make based on their position on a matrix that maps the quality of information with quantity of information. What is matrix? I said it maps, it kind of tells us, it maps decisions people make based on their positions on a matrix. A matrix kya hai? Matrix is a type of a map using two variables, quantity of information and the quality of information. Okay, so I have a graph like this. On one side, I am plotting the quantity, the amount of information. On other side, I am mapping the quality. Quality is about the processing of information. And depending on aap kahan par hai, you are here or you are here or you are here, I can tell what decisions you will make. Okay, so we will matrix essentially maps the decision people make based on their positions. Where are they? If a person is here, then I know he will do X type of work. If a person is here, I know he'll do Y type of decisions. How do I know this? Because, down further, next point, the correlationship between the position on the matrix and the decision made is statistically arrived at. So what I mean to say is typically think of how your computer works. So this is the matrix, and think of this is the decision making plane. Say this is one decision. I will eat. This is a decision. I will go watch a movie. A decision. I will go to sleep. A decision. Then I'll go on a vacation. Okay, so this is the plane on which मैंने map कर दिया है कि this is what it means. Now, based on study of numerous data, okay, how people behave. Okay, so I have a lot of data with me. So I found people who are here, who are here, who are here, who are here. These guys generally say they will eat. People who are here, who are here, who are here, who are here, maybe here. These guys, they generally say that they'll take a vacation. A person who is here, okay, and here, maybe these guys say that they'll go to sleep. ये मैंने पहले से map करके रखा हुआ है. Okay, from the questions that I have asked or whatever survey I've done. Now, when I interview you, if you fall in this group, then I know. अगर आप यहाँ पर आ गए, I know you will eat. Based on questionnaire I give you, if you fall here, I know you will go to sleep. This is what ultimately the entire algorithm does, isn't it? If I'm seeing YouTube, if I've seen X type of video 2 or 3 times, then the algorithm knows that this is the type of person he is and it's what he wants. So automatically they start pushing the information to me. So this is typically what computers do. They have mapped a lot of data. So as I think of, I have done lakhs of studies of this kind. The more I study, the more refined it gets. And when I ask you, answer the questions, and you fall here, I exactly know you'll go for vacation, right? So what I've done is, the subjectivity of decision making, I have converted into an objective tool for prediction. That's why behaviors and choices, which otherwise are subjective, which otherwise are difficult to quantify, this matrix helps me quantify and become exact. So, दोबारा आप सुनो मैंने क्या लिखा है? I said the behavioral matrix is a tool of analysis for decision making. It maps the decisions people make based on their position on the matrix. Or matrix hai kya? Matrix is a map of 2 variables, quantitative information and qualitative information. Did you understand the concept, all of you? So now you can write down. Ye diagram bana liya aapne. You can make this diagram. Okay, this is the decision making plane. So this is a decision making plane. And you can have the 2 graphs. And ऐसे ही बनाना. This is the quality of information, and this is the quantity of information and the maps. It can be decision 1. This is decision 2. This is decision 3. ऐसे रखो. Rather than saying, I'll go for vacation, sleep, or whatever, you make it like this. Now write down the next point. The tool is developed on the basis of a study of numerous incidences of what type of decisions people make based on the information that they have. More such information are fed to the behavioral matrix information base, the more refined and more exact prediction of behavior becomes. These type of tools are used in developing algorithms about how people consume data and make choices, or consume information and make choices. Next, behavioral matrix is an example of converting the subjective process of human decision making into an objective tool of a human behavior analysis. It uses principles of logical positivism. Next point, within the behavioral matrix, the positions of individuals can change. It's possible for the same positions to result in two different decisions. What I mean to say is कि जो भी यहाँ पर है, it's possible ये भी कर सकता है और शायद ये भी कर सकता है. It's possible. It all depends on how much data I have studied. It's also possible that two areas both can have the same decisions also. It's something like who are the people who opt for you? दो तरह के लोग होंगे. One are those who are toppers. Okay, they are confident and they can choose IAS examination. And those with not good academics also can choose. Because for them, UPSC looks like an escape. क्या सारा पहले का पाप धोना है तो UPSC qualify कर जाओ. फिर कोई नहीं पूछने वाला क्या मार्क्स आया पहले नहीं आया. Right? It's possible that one is a topper. He says I'll qualify. He's confident. He goes and one says, okay, but I'm confident I'll clear it. And once I do it, all my record is cleaned up. So two different type of positions, but both have the same behavior. It's also possible. People in the same group can also have two different behaviors. I'm a topper. One guy says I'll IS. The other guy says, no, I'll go for maybe MBA or some other corporate job. It's also possible. Ultimately, a pattern will emerge. It won't be random. ऐसा नहीं है. दो तीन options may you ultimately gravitate. It's like when I have taken a good break, either I get energized or I get greedy. I want more breaks. So either ways it can work. But end of the day, the behavioral matrix does give us a pattern. It helps us predict. In fact, पूरा consumer behavior इसी पे based है. Like, you know, when they set up a store also, जब design करते हैं store, they have studied कि when a person is walking, what are the likelihood where a person will go to pick up what type of goods. You display ऊपर करोगे तो क्या chance है, नीचे तो क्या chances है. Entire consumer behavior of retail market is based on behavioral matrix studies. So, right, next point. It's also possible for two or more different positions, same type of decisions are the consequences. So, एक जो topper है, वो भी डरा हुआ है because top हो चुका है. I can't afford not to top again. और जो top नहीं कर रहा है, वो भी डरा हुआ है. Okay, क्या what if I fail? So it's possible that two different type of groups can give us same type of decisions. The point is, उसमें भी एक pattern है. It's not random anymore. Then, of course, whatever you know about criticisms of positivism, you can apply this. So this is one question not asked, but I think it's a possible question. Okay, behavioral geography में ये एक पूछा हुआ question नहीं. I think I have covered positivism last time. I covered areal differentiation. I have covered regional analysis, synthesis I've covered. And this was one remaining topic. Now, next topic, what are the contributions of humanistic geography? ये एक सवाल अभी तक पूछा नहीं है for whatever reasons. Last time I was expecting कि ये तीन सवाल. They'll ask you about contributions of QR पूछ सकता है. I said या तो ये पूछेगा or they can ask something from radical. So ये नहीं पूछा लेकिन बाकी दो पूछ दिया. This time I think because they've asked QR, इस बार शायद QR नहीं पूछेगा, but this is a likely one. What are the contributions of quantitative revolution? So in general, you know, ये term last time बता दिया था मैंने. Remember, it is the revival of chorological approach. ये बता दिया था मैंने. It is okay, anthropocentric. It gives lot of importance to the human agency of thought and decision making. What are the contributions of humanistic geography? Okay, that it is a revival of the chorological approach. Chorological का मतलब हो गया, it is revival of the regional approach. It is truly anthropocentric. Why? Because it talks about human preferences. It talks about human culture. It talks about emotions. That's why it talks about the human agency in choices and decision making. Now, because it talks about culture, we say this is not same as areal differentiation. Okay, areal differentiation was positivist. Areal differentiation was ignoring culture, it ignoring time also. So a humanistic geography, because it has a culture-centric approach, it is truly anthropocentric. Therefore, it is not areal differentiation. A humanistic geography is anti-positivism. That's why we say it got the focus back on human agency. So this geography, I said, is anti-positivist. And abhi to padha nahi payenge, but just know this. It is inspired by geosophy. What is geosophy? Geosophy is the study of the earth, the study of geography through the perceptions of the people who inhabit the place. When I say perceptions of individual, wahan par culture aa jayega. Okay, that's why this approach is also called as geography's culture turn. तो कोई भी क्वेश्चन पूछेगा on this school of thought, आप इतना तो पक्का लिख के आएंगे. Can do write about the contributors. Okay, we have Harris. Okay, we have the works of Guelka. We have the works of Kirk. Okay, we have the work of John Wright. Okay, John Wright is the person who talked about geosophy. The works of John Wright, Harris. So, ye naam bata dena. Okay, Kirk talks about phenomenology. He talks about phenomenology. And Harris and Guelka are said to have started this school of thought in geography. So, itna to aap likh ke aayenge. Any question on a humanistic approach, this is your okay, formula paragraph or two. And that clear because concepts hain. Okay, make sure you have done this well. Uske baad mein, what are the contributions mein? So we have okay, 2-3 contributions. One I said is, of course, it is more anthropocentric. And because it is anthropocentric, so it now brings in cultural studies. Because anthropocentric, it has now brought in culture. It was ignored. Culture studies last hua tha in the works of Vidal and maybe to some extent Richthofen. Otherwise, areal differentiation, quantitative revolution, and behavior. Sare ne culture ignore kar diya tha because okay, culture was anti-positivist. So revival of this is one contribution. The second contribution is because culture is not independent of history, and history is the time dimension, which again was ignored for a long time. Okay, so jo classical chorology hai, like that of Kant, like that of areal differentiation, even Richthofen for that matter, or Hettner for that matter. Okay, the classical chorology was ignoring time. When I say classical, I mean Kant keh diya the time and space are different. Logical sciences are different from the physical sciences. Alag kar diya tha inhone. So areal differentiation ignored time. Your behavioral geography ignores time. Quantitative revolution ignores time. Your Kant was against time in geography. But this school brought back time studies. You cannot have culture by ignoring history. Culture and history. So with this approach, geography mein historical approach shuru ho gaya, which was missing for quite some time. Another contribution was ye jo time space, the time space geography. Essentially, isi ka ek contribution hai. The time space dichotomy was removed, and we have the time space geography was largely the work of Hagerstrand. Kant ignored chronology, and he said chronology is different from chorology. This is a contribution of time approach, humanistic approach. Iske alawa, this was a very important contribution in postmodern geography. Postmodern geography is the work of 1980s onwards. Okay, postmodern geography mein the typical features of postmodern geography are 4 point likhe aap. Postmodern geography is anti-positivist. Postmodern geography is against generalizations. It is against capitalism, and it includes cultural studies. So postmodernism, a desecularization. Okay, the religion matters, beliefs matter. ये सारा contribution humanistic approach का है. The postmodern geography. This school also influenced the welfare approach, environmentalism, like deep ecology. I talk about Hagerstrand. He talks about diffusion of innovation concept. ये सारा इसी school का contributions है. So let me give you the page number. फिर आप उससे develop कर लेना. So in your Dikshit textbook, page number 167 and 168, almost formula write up है. Page 167 में contributions of humanistic geography to human geography. इसमें पे एक और ऐड कर सकते हो that from this you have the concept of place, the concept of place, the concept of topophilia, the concept of place identities. In fact, अब जब बता रही ना हूं, you can add this, that under humanistic geography and the works of Tuan, there were 5 themes in geographical study. वो 5 themes क्या हैं? आपके textbook में page 163 में study of geographical knowledge and human survival, the study of role of territory in human behavior and creation of place identities, the study of crowding and privacy as mediated by culture, the study of knowledge and influence on livelihood, and the influence of religion on human activity. And बताया ना, it was desecularization. Religion was back in the studies of geography. ये सारा contributions था, okay, of the school of thought. And बाकी contributions page 167 में है. Okay, I'm reading this out to page 167. So see, what geography here happened was, geography सब कुछ combine कर दिया. जो पहले थोड़ा बहुत dichotomy था, human versus physical, culture हम नहीं पढ़ेंगे. There's too much of reductionism in geography. Under humanist geography, it all gets combined. So its insistence, okay, its resistance to pervasive reductionism, its insistence on geography with actors in initiated discussions of human agency, okay, central theme. Essentially, geography is no longer reductionism. It's सब कुछ हम मिला के, okay, that's one. Second is, okay, study of local difference. Geography again becomes idiographic. पहले आप law बना रहे थे, generalization कर रहे थे. Now they say, you know, we study the uniqueness of a place. Geography studies local differences. The dichotomy of fact and value is now removed. Fact is what? Observable, measurable fact. Values are the belief systems. What is my value? Honesty. What do I value? Punctuality. What do I value? Forgiveness. What do I value? Courage. These terms are not quantifiable. Courage, honesty, punctuality. How to quantify that? हमने क्या किया था? ऐसे value studies को अलग कर दिया था from the study of facts and information. So this school says कि ऐसे मत करो, दोनों को साथ रखो. You don't have to have numbers every time. You don't have to have objectivity every time. So it removed the dichotomy of fact and values. Okay, the fact-value dichotomy was eliminated. ठीक है, वही चीज है, अलग word में लिखा गया है. Then emphasis on values, meaning, place. The place concept है, revive the view of culture and cultural landscape. Culture was ignored. बताया आपको मैंने. And finally, the technique called as participant observation. That आप बस logic मत लगाओ हर बार. Go and watch. Go and be an active student. Don't just sit here and say, what is the feeling of people in Africa when it is hunger and famines? आप जाइए वहां पर, stay with them, live with them, and then tell us what they think. It's called as participant observation. You are part of that study group. You're participating with the people who are studying. So before you talk about what India is, what India's cultural ethos is, what India's problems is, पहले आप इंडिया में रहें तो सही 10, 12, 15 साल. Only then can you know what Indians are. So the new method it encouraged was participant observation. Okay, so this much is fine. So that's the next topic I've taken care of. I've taken two topics now. What is behavioral matrix and what are the contributions of humanistic geography? Achha, next, again, this question I'm anticipating for some time now. Time in geography. Because देखो, एक बार question पूछ चुका है about place. What is the definition of place? Time, space, geography, place पूछ चुका है. What they have not asked is time in detail. What is time in geography? So you start the story with Kant. Kant is time-space dichotomy. Geography is chronological. Geography is not chronological. So Kant starts the dichotomy of time and space. That's one. Number two, during the time of environmental determinism, the works of Ratzel, time was a factor. Time वापस आ रहा है. Time as a factor because Darwin का influence है. We have Darwin influence. Darwin evolution. Okay, so Ratzel talks about the concept of sequent occupants. ये पूरा time dimension ही है. Whereas new tribes come in from time to time into a place, that place gets reassessed and the place gets modified. The concept of sequent occupants. So Ratzel में time आ गया. Third, Vidal and Carl Saur both talk about culture, genre de vie culture, and culture has a time dimension. कोई भी culture without time develop नहीं होता. Culture has a time dimension. Achha, one point emphasize, you can say inclusion of time in geography. It is different in physical geography and it is different in a human geography. Physical geography mein, we have a historical studies pioneered by Davis. The concept of cycle, the concept of evolution, the stage of the reverse erosion is सब time dimensions. Physical geography में रहा है, plus time studies has also been in climatology because the historical जो climate रहा है, we have studied that. How has climate changed in the geological history of the world? So time in physical geography, okay, was in the historical approach of Davis and was also in the historical approach of a reconstruction of the geological climatic history. इसमें time है. The debates are about time in human geography. So Kant, human geography. We talk about Ratzel, human geography. Vidal is human geography. So human geography mein, though Kant started dichotomy, but okay, areal differentiation, but Ratzel's environmental determinism, even possibilism, all of them were time sensitive. Then what happened was, human geography mein, I continue now. This was one discussion you can put in a box. So I'll continue from where I left. Vidal ke baad mein, Carl Saur is time studies. The next is time and space dichotomy got re-established under areal differentiation of Richard Hartshorne. The dichotomy remained in quantitative revolution. So the models of QR, they were static models. They were not dynamic models. Think of von Neumann theory, static model. A CPT model is static model. The model of Weber is a static model. Loci analysis is again static model. Because time is included in it. All these models are static. They are not dynamic models. So time dichotomy establishes. But then next one, with geosophy and culture turn in humanistic approach, time was reincorporated into geography. And then of course we have the time-space geography of Hagerstrand. So time is also a resource, just as space is a resource, a location resource, वैसे time is also a resource according to time-space geography. Then time was also important in radical studies. The Marxist approach है, उसमें भी time आता है. But time more as a passive influence rather than an active factor. I'll just mention आपको पढ़ना कहाँ से होगा. This is chapter 19, page number 347. So let me show this passage to you, all of you. So इसका एक 2-3 पेज है, इसको एक बार रीडिंग कर लेना. Time and space are intimately related, recognized for a long time. So the scheme of classification of field knowledge proposed by Kant emphasized on cognate nature of the two disciplines. They both belong to physical classification and the point of occurrence. Okay, and in this, the arrangement of time, history in the temporal sense, okay, vertical sense, okay, this one, and the changing perspectives of time. So what does Ratzel think about time? Semple talks about a role of geography in history, okay, environmental causations. So there was in the environmental determinism there was a causal relationship, okay, between time and space. The relationship tha. But what happened was areal differentiation had regarded time and space as mutually autonomous and unrelated dimensions, so that geography restricted its focus only to contemporary landscape and completely neglected the process of its evolution to the present stage. So areal differentiation mein there is no role of time. So Hettner, Hartshorne, they completely neglected time. ठीक है, ये लिखा दिया आपको मैंने. Then you have so the humanistic approach hai, to sum up the behavioral geography. The behavioral geography was wholly a creature of geography as speech analysis, and like the rest of speech analysis, it neglected time. QR has no time dimension, all static models. So behavioral geography is also static in that sense. So वापस जो time आया है, time has come back in the humanistic approach. It focused on understanding meaning, value, human significance of life events. It aimed to make geography, people geography, about people, for the people. So this stream was sympathetic with the use of historical perspective in geographical research. So time वापस आया under human. It was sympathetic. Let's use time, not ignore time. So now we know that जो भी patterns बनते हैं, the patterns include processes. And जहां पर भी process आएगा, you cannot remove time and space. Anything which has a method, a process, that's why it says inseparability of time and space. The pattern process relationship. This was the understanding of the contemporary geographers. कि किसी चीज में अगर pattern आ गया, pattern requires a process to develop. It will have time. You cannot separate time. Therefore, okay, to sum up, geography is concerned both with the patterns of phenomena as well as the historical processes through which the present-day landscape in any place has been transformed to its current status. This is what is meant when we say geography is study of being and also becoming. Becoming is the time thing, process thing. So look this up. So time and space are intertwined. And then Carl Sauer is all time. The pattern process studies in geography have been most fruitful in the study of human settlements, being and becoming delineated. Berkeley School by Carl Sauer, it talks about time angle, just know this. So it says, temporality and spatiality are universal features of life. So historical and geographical study being together, both share a quest of unity. यही बन जाता है ultimately postmodern geography. Postmodern geography में time is back. ठीक है? So having done this, I believe अब आप time को handle कर लेंगे. Just one reading. I read very fast. You might take another 20 minutes or half an hour more, but पढ़ लेना please. Okay, this can be an evaluation for many schools of thought. You write a note on QR. QR ignores time. Talk about contributions of humanistic. Write about one paragraph, humanist geography and time. Okay, write note on chorology, areal differentiation. डाल देना एक paragraph on time separately, how they ignored time. ठीक है? So I'm done with this question on time. Now, so I've taken care of areal differentiation, quantitative revolution. I've taken care of behavioral geography, humanistic geography, radical geography, and time. So most areas I've taken care. Now let's move on towards environmentalism. Before environmentalism, let me take up location analysis. Write a question. Critically analyze the location approach in human geography on philosophical and on methodological grounds. So philosophy में भी analyze करो और method में भी analyze करो. Analyze से मतलब क्या हुआ? Tell us good, bad, okay, what are the reasons and so on. So can you think through a few minutes maybe and tell us आप इसको develop कैसे करेंगे? So when I say evaluate in terms of philosophy, what does it mean? And evaluate in terms of a method, what does it mean? When I say location approach, what am I referring to? I'm referring to von Thunen studies, Weber's model, central place theory, and also Hagerstrand's time-space geography. वो भी एक type का location theory है. It talks about time also along with location. So when you say location approach, these are the 4 theories. अब बताओ इनका philosophy क्या था और इनका मेथड क्या था? How you separate this? अगर इसमें 3-4 पॉइंट बन गया, you're on. The philosophy is about generalizations, finding laws, finding commonalities, finding a pattern. The philosophy therefore is that it is possible to study any phenomena in terms of patterns. पहले आइडिया था ही नहीं ना, ये philosophy था ही नहीं. We saw all the patterns as isolated events. सब पैटर्न का एक connection होगा, एक interrelationship होगा, and that they are part of some kind of order. वो नहीं था पहले, right? The first philosophy is that it assumes or it asserts the idea that any study of a phenomena includes pattern studies. So अगर pattern studies हैं, therefore the philosophy is study and develop generalizations on the patterns. That's why the philosophical approach was nomothetic approach. Let's make laws. Philosophy ho gaya. One of the philosophies was that we did not want geography to die a death because geography was becoming boring study. Remember? Geography was only about descriptions, inventorization, and geography was chorology. Chorology was a very, very sterile study. The philosophy was, let us make geography logical. Let us make geography scientific. It was about saving and reviving interest in geography away from the sterile inventorization. ये philosophy था इसका. Okay, so the pattern is possible. That's a philosophy. That this pattern, अगर नहीं किया हमने, it will kill geography. The methodological approach of location approach is positivism. आप इसको यहाँ लिखेंगे. The method is based on assumptions. Remember normative assumptions? ये आपको सब पता है. It's just that you do not know how to interpret this sentence. ये problem है आपका. देखिए कि ये सारा इस words में आना चाहिए. You are struggling because of that. Philosophically, okay, अगर assumptions है normative, it will include culture. Because philosophically it says that culture is not quantifiable. Culture is subjective. Therefore, method में हमने कहा, ignore culture. So you have, in your methods, you assume man is economic, man is rational. Philosophically, all the location studies are essentially economic studies, isn't it? It's about maximum profits. It's about minimum costs. It's सब economic concepts. Okay, they are ignoring the elements of culture preferences. So philosophically, okay, there it is more of economics orientation. Okay, least cost theories हैं or revenue maximization theories हैं. And because it is least cost and so on, so methods में they are mathematical. Methods में they are numerical analysis. So ये जो method है, इस method of philosophy दोनों का conclusion is that the location approach studies are not realistic. They don't solve any human problem. Neither they can depict any human pattern in a human realistic pattern. They are artificial models, artificial generalizations. They do not have an applied aspect. Philosophically, they are more oriented towards capitalism. Philosophically, these are all capitalist interpretations. वही तो था monsoon का, right? How can we use the land for maximum profits? Use the land for maximum outputs. So capitalist orientation है, unrealistic है, assumptions हैं. It is trying to make geography interesting. That's the problem there. So location approaches का जो philosophy है, it is not so much about decision making process. हालांकि behavioral geography tries bringing that. Otherwise, it is not a study of whether von Thunen or talk about CPD model or Weber's model. They're not about actual human decision making process. All done? यही points को आपको पता है. I'm just organizing them for you. Now you can analyze it. कि इसमें क्या गलत है, क्या सही हो जाएगा. All done? An analysis of the approach in terms of philosophy and in terms of time. The next question try करें. देखो, definitely I have the advantage of framing the question. I've framed the question. I've thought through it. I've done some reading. I have the advantage of time and experience with me. For you guys, what we want is आप क्या ये question को इन पा रहे हैं कि नहीं. Once I've told समझ में आ रहा है आपको, ठीक है. But maybe on your own also, can you at least identify one, 2 points here, 1, 2 points here? Yesterday somebody asked me, sir, आप बताओ कि when I get a geography question or any question, what should be the key 3, 4 things I should do? So I've told this to you, I'm repeating. One important thing is identify the keywords. जैसे इस question में keywords were philosophical, methodological, analysis, location up, ये keywords हैं. तो आपके answer में ये keyword दिखना चाहिए. Philosophically it is this and these are the merits, demerits. Methodologically it is this, that demerits and there are merits. So identify the keywords. Second is be very conscious about the directive. The question directive hai. Is it saying analyze, explain, comment? Largely, I'll categorize all these key directives into 3 categories. One is the illustrate type. Illustrate, okay, examples के साथ is elucidate, simplify, समझा दो हमें. The second type will be analyze or discuss. इसमें ना pros and cons आ जाता है. Analysis and discussion type, you've got pros and cons. इसमें is more straight types. This is the what type of questions. This is the why type of questions. And the third directives are the comment type. Analyze, discuss, evaluate. ये सब examine, ये सब एक ही type का ही मान के चलो आप. Here the more focus is on the reasons and give us an evaluation. Analyze something, give the reasons, give evaluation. और एक comment type. Comment type is more like giving your opinion. It's like आप judgment pass कर रहे हो. So be careful about it. ये 3 के बाकी सारे words all can be fit into these 3 categories more or less. Are they straight what type of questions? Are they analytical reason, pros, cons type of questions, or are they comment or opinion questions? My suggestion is कुछ भी question पूछेगा ना, ये अगर what भी पूछता है, bring some analysis. Pros and cons नहीं पूछा है, एक paragraph डाल देना maybe conclusion में, because this is where the richness lies. So this one. And third thing you should do is question देखते ही try to break it up in terms of a story. ये बार-बार हम करा चुके हैं अभी तक. Almost every class I do 1 or 2 questions. Okay, tell me the storyline. पहले क्या लिखोगे, फिर क्या लिखोगे? Okay, for this question, the first is what are location approaches in geography? Von Thunen, Weber, patterns हैं, circular patterns हैं, ये हैं. The second will be what are the philosophical elements of location approach? लिख देना उसको. Along with analysis, कहाँ good है, कहाँ bad है. Then, what are the methodological approaches in location studies? एक paragraph and plus and consequences. Have a diagram in terms of table. So, what is location studies? Philosophical approach, methodological approach, put a diagram and conclusion. Conclusion is that it was largely a product of QR. These are what it did. But under the humanistic revolution, the location approach is no longer as important. उसमें pattern की बात ही नहीं होती है. The modern geography is no longer fixated around too much of location generalizations. Leave it at that. अगर आपने इसे तोड़ दिया ना, we have got no problem. You know कि अच्छा ये 4 पार्ट लिखना है. What location approach? The philosophical elements and evaluation, the methodological element evaluation. Make a table if you can make a table summarizing everything and conclusions. Okay, this was okay in QR, but things have changed since then, particularly after the humanistic revolution. तो कोई भी क्वेश्चन पूछेगा ना, ये ब्रेक करना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट, अदरवाइज यू आर ट्रैप्ड. मोस्ट पीपल कैनॉट डेवलप आंसर बिकॉज दे कैनॉट सी फॉर देमसेल्व्स कि पहले ये लिखेंगे फिर देन यू कीप ऑन राइटिंग रैंडम, जो मन में आता है लिख रहे हो आप लोग जब आ रहा है. ठीक है, सो वी विल डू दिस ओके बिट मोर कॉन्शियसली. ओके, ट्राई अनदर क्वेश्चन. नाउ दिस क्वेश्चन आप थोड़ा समझना इसको. ओके, इट्स अ ट्रिकी वन but interesting one. I like this. When I came across one of the sentences, the next is environmentalism. How environmentalism of the poor has the potential to become the main driving force for achieving an ecologically sustainable society. I've done this type of a question under environment geography. I think I've discussed SDG there, right? I think we have done that. Go back and have a look. What do we mean by this idea that environmentalism of the poor has the potential to become the main driving force for achieving an ecologically sustainable society? Now, if there is environmentalism of the poor, it means there must be also environmentalism of the rich. The opposite mein hai environmentalism of the poor. Okay, now when I say let us conserve oil, oil khatam ho jayega, let us conserve coal, coal khatam ho jayega, urban area is very suffocating, it impacts my health, breathing problems, mujhe bada problem hota hai, garmi lagti hai. Who do you think is complaining like this? The rich or the poor? The rich guy. So when environmentalism is concerned about quality of life, when concerned about a resource exhaustion, so oil exhaustion or coal exhaustion, when environmentalism is concerned about pollution, concerned about global warming and the discomfort. Delhi mein na, I feel so choked. Okay, ye wahi bolega jo who has been probably Norway, Sweden, clean air. Or Delhi mein aake he's choked. He's every half an hour checking, okay, what is the, air quality index, AQI kitna hai. Okay, 200 cross kar gaya, ab main to ghar ja raha hu, I cannot stay, I'll die outside. And then this is that typical elitism that we have. Not wrong, ye bhi concern hai. When talk about environment impacting economic production and pollution also. Nala ganda hai, okay, air I can't breathe. Land is having plastic littering. This is what is called as environmentalism of the rich. Remember, right wrong nahi hai. This is also a valid concept. So environmentalism started with this actually. Jab NEPA is National Environmental Protection Act of US, jab shuru hua tha, inka yahi concern tha. The biggest concern was resource exhaustion. The bigger concern was to stop pollution. The bigger concern was that it's impacting our groundwater resources. And in this approach, there are two solutions. One is that we need more and more of investments and increase our quality of life. And the solution is that we must have more and more of technology solutions. I'll invest money to fit an AC. I invest money to have an air purifier. I invest money, I must buy a car because I can't afford to spoil my lungs walking on the streets of Delhi. This is about what? आप अपना quality of life improve कर रहे हो. गर्मी लग रही है. I need to go take a vacation. I'm going to Shimla. I'm going to Brussels for the Indian summers. This is the environmentalism of the rich. इसमें थोड़ा सा elitism है. It is a bit elitist. Okay. It has these concerns are more around issues of, like I said, quality of life, and to some extent it is about health concerns. Economic concerns hai aur yahan par health concerns. Nothing wrong, this is fine. But now we say, when you talk about environmental problems from the perspective of distribution justice. Talk about environment from the perspective of livelihood rights. देखो, there is economic sense in both. A livelihood भी economic sense है और economic production भी economic sense है. The difference ये है कि this is profit motive, this is survival motive. It's about basic survival. It's about your income per month. It's about rights on the natural resources like forest rights for tribes, water rights for farmers. We're talking about food security issues, food security, drinking water concerns. Or इसमें the bigger concern is access and use rights. यहां पर ज्यादा concern है the quality. पानी तो है but मुझे साफ पानी चाहिए. I want portable drinking water. आरओ लगा के दो हमें. यहां पर या पानी तक पहुंच तो जाओ हम लोग. Let's access the groundwater. ये अधिकार तो बने कि river is mine. Clean पानी देखा जाएगा बाद में. At least give me the forest is mine. I hope you got the point here. So when I say environmentalism of the poor, this is, I said, about rights of livelihood. It's about distributive rights. It's about food security. It's about drinking water. And very important, it also includes women rights. Because women are concerned with drinking water, firewood, foraging, for basic, forest-based industries, forest-based non-timber products, minor forest producers. So women rights aa jata hai isme. It's about the survival rights of island nations. It's about farmers' rights. Then we say it is environmentalism of the poor. Now look at the question. Environmentalism for the poor is the way ahead for achieving sustainable development. So if you remember at least 4 or 5 sustainable development goals. Drinking water hai, gender issues hai, issues related to food and hunger issues hai, biodiversity issues hai, sab to isme aa gaya na, aur kisme chhuda aapka. These are the principles of sustainable development. Equity, sharing, justice. Yeah, uske baad, see, if you understand the question's philosophy, समझ तो जाओ कि what is environmentalism of the poor and what is different from environmentalism of the rich. This type of environmentalism is also called as shallow ecology बोलते हैं इसको. इसका opposite क्या है? Deep ecology. Deep ecology is where? On which side? Of the rich or of the poor? Deep ecology किसका है? Rich or poor? Deep ecology एक अलग spectrum है. ये poor वाला भी नहीं है. Deep ecology is what? Extreme conservation, where I remove man from the forest. मैंने forest को बता दिया protected forest, tribe को निकाल दिया मैंने. Deep ecology is that, no? There are no circumstances the environment can be tampered with. बढ़िया सा river बना के fence लगा देना है. Okay, river is God. Now you are out of the river domain. Yes. Okay. So shallow ecology is this environmentalism of the rich. इसका opposite है deep ecology. Deep ecology is environment without man. Environment concerns, environmental issues, and deal with those without including the concerns of man. It is deep ecology that leads to cultural imperialism. We get violent against non-vegetarians, no? If you're non-vegetarian, you're an evil person. Okay, that's an example of deep ecology, example of cultural imperialism. इतना zealously हम गार्ड करते हैं environment को कि आदमी को मारने से दुआ सोचते भी नहीं. Environment is God, environment is our life, our culture, our ethos. Man can die for now. That's example of deep ecology. It is twisted. It is definitely wrongly interpreted. तो इन दोनों के बीच में आता है environmental of the poor. ठीक है? So how will your structure be? Okay, so first paragraph, write about a note on environmentalism, study of environment in relationship to man. Environmentalism is determinism, it is possibilism, it's also environmental concerns. The idea of O'Riordan, who says environmentalism means many things to many people. बहुत सारे dimensions हैं, approaches हैं under environmentalism. ठीक है? And then say what is, you can draw a diagram. दिखा देना है pure वाला, deep ecology और beach वाला. Give 3-4 broad heads. Tell us is the spectrum of concerns of environment. Then you start off with one paragraph on what has been the traditional environmentalism of the rich. ठीक है? Discomforts of life, production problems, resource exhaustion, technology solutions, and they are shallow ecology. It's more about quality of life. Then explain one paragraph what is environmentalism of the poor. इसको समझा के डिटेल में लिखना. And make sure you have got one paragraph on women issues अलग से. देखो, I doubt if they will ask you directly like this. But now that you have a term in your vocabulary, आप इसको यूज करो ना आंसर्स में. कुछ भी क्वेश्चन पूछेगा घुमा के डाल सकते हैं ना. एनवायरमेंटलिज्म ऑफ द पुअर, as I said, it's relevant for social injustice discussions, relevant for women issues, relevant for ethics discussion. आराम से बनेगा एक पैराग्राफ इसमें. ठीक है. Then maybe draw a box or table. 4-5 sustainable development goals क्या है. वाटर वाला है, एक आपका फूड एंड हंगर वाला है, और women issues का है, biodiversity, life on the land, under the water, energy sustainability hai, urban issues, urban habitats. So make a list of, and how some of these depends on concerns of poverty, concerns related to distributive justice. Okay, fine. Okay. So let's have a discussion on radical geography. इससे questions आ रहे हैं. 4-5 terms पता होना चाहिए. Okay. So radical geography, the 4-5 keywords हैं. You all know a Marxist approach. It's about inequalities and solutions through anti-capitalism revolutions. It has what's called as dialectical approach. What do I mean by dialectical? Essentially, okay, this term means that there are two opposing ideas and there is a conflict. So owners and workers, the rich and the poor, the haves and the haves not. Okay? This is dialectical. The two opposite ideas or groups and they have a conflict. Space and time dialectical. Space alag hai, time alag hai. They can't meet. That's something like your Kantian ideas and they are conflicting with one another. So radical geography is dialectical approach. Radical geography is also referred to as geography of justice. और इसका एक बहुत important agenda है correction of historical wrongs in terms of resource ownership and resource use. It's also called as, ये जो approach है इसको हम subaltern approach भी बोलते हैं. Subaltern in very simple terms means the common man, the labor class, the soldiers, they refer to as subaltern. So in looking at anything from the perspective of common man, when you analyze anything from the perspective of those who are denied some benefits or growth and development because they're common people. So the viewpoint of peasants, the viewpoint of workers, the viewpoint of soldiers, the viewpoint of natives. So China में peasant movement, Russia में worker class का movement रहा है. Or think of the revolt of 1857, soldiers revolt रहा है. Okay, natives, the anti-colonial sentiments जो थे, ये सारे subaltern radical approaches हैं. Fighting for what is yours and rectifying the historical mistakes where you're denied rights on your resources. इसको subaltern approach भी बोलते हैं. And radical geography के 3 main offshoots हैं. 3 main offshoots of radical geography or Marxist geography. One offshoot is in the population studies. So Marxist population का क्या perspective है? You know about Marxist theory of, okay, that's one. Second offshoot of this is the geography of gender, to view everything from the perspective of gender issues, gender rights, gender issues, gender atrocities, okay, women concerns, women participation. जहाँ पे वो आ गया, it becomes geography of gender. And the third is the anti-colonial geography. You talk in terms of, okay, the West and the East, the colonial mindset, जहाँ पर भी आता है, example of a Marxist or a radicalist approach. ये 3 इसका. And of course, also remember that this population, gender, ये तीनों का एक dimension with environment भी है. Environment of the poor जो है, This is radical in approach. Look at environmental concerns from the perspective of local tribes, local population, okay, local farmers, local workers. That's one. And another very important aspect of radical geography is that radical geography is also very inspired partly by humanistic approach. In what ways? It talks about individual differences. It talks about local rights. Okay, it talks about local perspectives, local perspective, local rights. But yaad rahe that unlike Marxist approach that favors lawmaking and generalizations, Marxist approach में generalizations का theme है. Okay, what we call as Marxists believe in the grand theory of anti-capitalism. Humanistic approach rejects any type of generalization or theory. That's one. Next is radical geography. Radical geography views all patterns and processes as a consequence of deliberate denial of rights to peasants, farmers, and workers. So the patterns have reasons in political process, not economic process. जो भी patterns बनते हैं, the patterns have their reasons in the political process, not in the economic process. So radical geography will reject all location theories because location theories are all economic in nature. So economics is not the basis. It is actually a political decision. It is the role of the bureaucrats and the state that manages all of this. ठीक है? So I kind of summarized the philosophy of radical. इसी को बार-बार रिवाइज कर लेना. Introduction या conclusion में this can be a very good write-up for radical geography. उसके बाद depends on how they phrase the question. So radical geography. So think of this question, okay? Question लिखो आप. The theory of Weber's industrial location is academically sound but does not offer solutions for practical problems in the economically and geographically dynamic world. Discuss. That's one question. एक और question लिखो आप. Innovation activity and knowledge diffusion are key developmental factors in the territorial growth poles, but not enough discussed and stressed on in the original growth pole theory. Discuss. इस साल मुझे लग रहा है growth pole पे question पूछेगा and CPD model में भी. So growth pole पे I will stress a bit more. I moved on towards models and theories now. ठीक है? Fine then.